Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Maharakak Wadash, and double honors to the apostles of the great millstone that have taught me what I know today, and as well as even the bishops on down. And Yahweh Bashmal Shai Brakatham to the 144,000, and including the 1/3 that do follow, and it's your brother Laban. Now, I did also see this video a day earlier, and I saw that Apostle Tahar he jumped on it right, and I was like, man, he beat me to it. But I'm still gonna give my take on this video right here in regards to Japan begging Jake to go to impregnate their women for 75,000. And the title of this lesson is going to be called "We Haven't Even Made It to the Kingdom Yet," something to that equivalent. And just to mention something else as well, just to put in part of the title of the video. But it's looking very well what we've always knew what was going to be had in the future. And like I said, we haven't even reached the kingdom yet, and this is what's being said. And at first, when I did check this out, I thought this got to be some kind of a joke, but it's actually real, because everybody's reporting on it now, especially Jake in the world. And right now, as well as Apostle Zahar even said a couple of weeks back, that Jake is in fashion. All right, and there's a reason for that, because you see what the Lord did is the Lord saved the best for last. And being that we're under the curses right now, and for the most part, when it comes to success, when it comes to who's really doing it in the world, is these other nations. And Jake was never thought of, but now Jake is being thought of, and it's now being revealed that the so-called Negro male, or the Israelite man, is truly valuable. Okay, and in this video they talk about how the population has been deducted in Japan, and what it is this is just my little take on why they need us to do this, because when you go back in history in Japan, you always had those legendary samurais that left the legacy. And to be a samurai is what I've kind of remembered in terms of looking at the history, is that to have been a samurai, a good one, you had to have at least some black blood in you, right? And what they've realized, and again, this is just me speculating on things, the reason why I think they want to allow Jake to impregnate their women is simply because they know that Jake has very powerful genetics, and our productivity is next level. All right, and it's their way of keeping the nation alive, which in fact that was never the case anyway, because your nationality is determined by the father who you come from. The term father, by the way, means your origin. So what society always needed is Jake to keep this society going. And when you have people that are not so potent in terms of their whole biological setting is concerned, you can't have a thriving society if you got weak people that's willing to put a little bit of work in. Okay, so if you got people that have strong genes, they can bring so much more to the economy. All right, they can fight your wars, even including in regards to that too. Okay, but what this is basically showing that is the valuability of the so-called Negro male, the Israelite man, which is to be exact. And they're not calling for Edomites. They're not calling for the small hatters to procreate with. They're not calling for the next door neighbors, the Chinese, to procreate with their women. Neither are they calling the East Indians, for that fact, Ammon, to procreate with their women. They're calling Jake. And we're supposed to be at the bottom of the totem pole. We're supposed to be the least, the inconsiderate. And there's another word I'm thinking about too. We're supposed to be degenerative, according to Western society, but yet they need our seed to procreate with. And that's very well telling you something right there. All right. What it's telling you is that we're the children of Israel. So, if we're the children of Israel, of course, we're going to have the potency, especially when it comes to our seed. All right. Everything that comes from us is potent. So, what I want to do is, I want to read the book of Isaiah 14, because what this is showing as well is that we are definitely going to have concubines in the kingdom. Okay. In the future, women were concubines before in the ancient world to different nations of people, especially our women, the so-called black women. They've been concubines to the so-called white man. And, when you get concubines of a woman that's of a different nationality, it's really to do with the fact that you conquered those people. That's what that symbolizes. So when you have your women going to a different race of people, it just symbolizes that nation has been conquered, or that nation has become weak, which the nation begins with the men. So if the men of that nation have become weakened or conquered in some kind of way, guess what the women are going to do? The women are going to flock to a nation that's winning. Women don't have any loyalty. So, and plus they're the weaker vessel. So they're going to jump with the guy that appears to be dominant for the purpose of their security. All right. So in the kingdom, when we possess these nations, so I'm back once again. So Salakia for that, they cut off. I don't know if it's this wire, maybe this wire is sensitive, but anyway, what do you think's gonna happen when these nations are conquered by us? Do you think that they women are gonna stick around with them? No, they're gonna want to jump to the other side, the winning team, and the winning team is gonna be Jacob. So come on, like the third time coming. I mean, we haven't even reached to the point of the kingdom yet. And even the men of their nation is saying, look, we need y'all to come down to Japan to impregnate our women. So if they're capable of saying this, then it's very possible that the prophecy of Isaiah, the 60th chapter, will come into full into fruition as well. Because you're going to have grown men bring their daughters as a possession so that they can get with the Israelite man for the sake of the blessing. We're going to get into all of that, but let's just read this. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So that's what we, the real Israelites, are going to be able to do. We're going to be able to possess these nations. So when you possess a nation or nations, guess what? You possess their spoils. Now in the ancient world, when battles were fought, especially in biblical times, women were also known as spoils, also known as booty. That's where you get the term booty from, which means spoils. So they were spoils of war. Okay, so if you've conquered all of the men of that nation, what would you do with the women? You would turn them into concubines. All right. And the nations would just be, the women of the other nations, they would just basically be a man's sex toy. So we have the outline here: spoils, booty, robbery, spoiling. There it is. No need to go any further. So even though over here, right here, what I did is I typed in on the Google So it says, women considered spoils of war, right? Question mark. In ancient times, women were taken by conquering soldiers as spoils of war, sometimes becoming the wives of the victors, right? Whether they wanted this or not, absolutely. Whether they wanted to or not. And there's a law in it too. Because in the law it tells you that, where if you saw a woman that was beautiful and you desired her, you could take her to thy wife. Now, is this literally, being that we see the word wife over here? No, meaning you're going to take her to be a concubine, because that was also against the law as well among the Israelite men, that they shouldn't take the women of the other nations to actually turn them into proper wives. You would turn the women of your nation into proper wives. The Israelite man will become a proper husband to the wife of the Israelite woman. All right. Now, if it concerns the other nations, they would just be lesser wives, just for the purpose of sex, which you would call concubines. And whether they want to or not, they had no say. And this just goes to show you, in the ancient times, women had absolutely no say, no equality there whatsoever. Women were not on the same level as a man. Now, in this feminine society, this weak, faggoty society that we're in right now, women are on the level of men, and actually above men to a degree as well. Okay. So, but when we get into the kingdom, everything's gonna be brought right back to how it used to be, where it was all about the men and what their wants were. Okay, it's kind of still like that today to a degree, because you have very powerful people at the very top that don't really apply the concept of women being equal to them. I'm talking about like the Rothschild family and the likes. They don't apply that. They brainwash us with this notion of applying it so that we could stay weak and under them economically. That's what that's all about. But I'm just saying, in the kingdom, it's going to be solidified that women are going to basically be in their lower position below the man. Okay, so we go all the way back to square one with this, with the order of things. So now we're going to read this. And seeing among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. In other words, she will be a lesser wife than of a concubine. And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money, and thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. Right? So, if she didn't want to be humbled and all of that, because you killed her family members due to the war, she had to just deal with it, because she was a spoil of war. She was booty. All right. So that's the law. That's the law on that right there. Here it is. So this is what you would probably call the bitter side of the scriptures, so to speak. Certain guys will get very emotional off of this, and even certain women that think they're Israelites, which, if you're a Negro woman or Latino Native American woman, you are an Israelite. But you got our people that would get offended off of this, because they've been westernized and made soft as a result of being in the West for too damn long. All right. But yeah, the point of the matter is that just like the great men in times past, like King Solomon, he had about 700 wives, 300 concubines. And as well as we know that King David had concubines too. All of the great men of Israel had concubines, women of the other nations. And this is what we're going to experience. We're going to experience having women of the other nations, whether the so-called black women likes it or not. They're going to have to accept it. They're going to have to accept the idea that they're going to be sharing a man, and that their men are going to experience having intimacy with the other nations of women as well. Okay, with the other nationalities of women as well, which is what's already happening as it stands right now. You got a lot of Jakes dealing with Edomite women. You got Jakes dealing with Moabite women. And you know, too, the reason why that's happening too, because a lot of these women are showing a great deal of interest into Jake, into so-called black men. So you know what Jake is doing. Jake is just going towards women that want them. That's all it is. And it's going to be the same way in the kingdom. Because right now, if you look at Jake is at the bottom of society, but yet every woman wants it. So just imagine when Jake is on the highest position in life, like Esau is. It's going to be every woman's dream to have an Israelite man. And it's kind of, and I have to correct myself too. Even as it is right now, there's women of the other nations that fantasize about getting rid of Jake. I'm telling you, man, these women, they're gonna lose it. Like when women lose their minds over something, you gonna know about it, man. You know, these women, they gonna get hot, man, when they see an Israelite man, and to the point where they might even fall out and be in awe of them. So you know, this is the reality of the matter, man. At the end of the day, Jake has become very valuable nowadays. No matter how much we've been oppressed, because that's really what's been happening. When you look at the nation as a whole, so-called Jakes in America, and you know, Jake in the West Indian Islands and all of that, right? And even Jake from the Northern Kingdom as well, the so-called Latino Native American men. You know, primarily the men have been basically getting oppressed than the women. The women haven't really dealt with oppression. It's primarily the men that's been facing more of the oppression. And it's when the men face the oppression of a nationality, the women suffer, the children suffer. Okay, so the Israelite man, despite him being oppressed, yet and still, all of the women still want him. No matter how much you try to push us down, our greatness, our potential of who we are, and the frequency that we carry cannot be prohibited, because we're the sons of God. Okay, so again, just imagine when the Heavenly Father raises us up. You ain't seen nothing yet. Okay, and even when I go outside and step out my door, man, I mean, I'm just an average looking guy, you know, but when I step out, man, at times I be getting a lot of attention, to the point where you know, you do feel uncomfortable, because it's like you don't usually get that kind of attention, you know. And I ain't gonna lie, man, I've always had, you know, a reasonable amount of attention with women, but not to the extent to what it's become right now, if I'm being honest. So that's all I got to say, man. Jake is definitely in fashion, and a lot of these women are beginning to see among these other nations, and so much so that you got the Japanese. I mean, I'm not really sure if it's the Japanese government, but it seems to be the case. They want us to impregnate their women. Now that's saying something right there. All right, that's saying something. So that's all I got to say with what I've just said. Anyway, so with that, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Baharakah Quadash, and double honors to the head apostles of the great millstone that have taught me what I know, and as well as even the bishops on down, and Yahweh Bashmal Shai Brakatham to the 144,000 including. Okay, that sincerity push this truth with no ill intent, and to those that do follow, whom is the 1/3, with sincerity as well. Shalom.